Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Destiny knows you're ready to hear this, because what you're about to receive isn't just a message, it's a mirror. And maybe, just maybe, you've reached the part of your life where you're no longer here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to remember it. There comes a moment when silence hits harder than any scream. When the person they thought would never leave doesn't just leave, they vanish, completely and cleanly, with no breadcrumbs to follow, no warning shots, and no regrets. That kind of exit? That's not a tantrum. That's a final decision made by someone who woke up. And that's the danger of a soul like yours. You didn't explode, you didn't crumble. You simply evaporated from the spaces that could no longer hold your light. And that right there, that calm, emotionless goodbye, is what's keeping them up at night. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, right? They thought you were anchored. They thought you were theirs to keep, to summon when they needed comfort, to ignore when they didn't. You were the safety net under their high-wire act, and they danced recklessly because they knew you'd always catch the fall. But then one day, something shifted. You realized the net was tearing, and it wasn't keeping them safe. It was tearing you apart. And in that moment, something sacred snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like the first breeze that signals a coming storm. Let's be honest. How many times did you stay long after your soul whispered go? How often did you hand over your peace like it was a subscription service, renewing it month after month with no return? They didn't thank you. They expected it. And what they never realized is that every act of self-sacrifice was actually a countdown. They thought your patience was passive, but it was just quiet strength giving them one last chance. Here's the catch. When someone finally stops showing up, it's not because they're heartless. It's because they've felt everything already. They've analyzed the tone in your voice, the gaps in your effort, the patterns in your neglect. They didn't leave out of nowhere. They left after trying everything. So now they're reeling, not because they loved you deeply, but because they depended on your energy like a crutch. You were the one they turned to when the world turned cold, the one they relied on without ever really knowing. You were the answer key to problems they never tried to solve themselves. But when you stop supplying, their entire structure collapses. That's what's happening now. You're not watching someone miss you. You're watching someone realize you were the architect of every comfort they mistook as theirs. And now, they're walking barefoot through the ruins. Isn't it strange how people only notice your absence when your silence echoes louder than your presence ever could? They'll say you changed, that you became distant. But truthfully, you just stopped trying to explain your worth to people who measured it in convenience. You stopped begging to be heard in rooms that preferred your silence, and that rattles them more than rage ever could, because now they're left with their reflection. And guess what? You're no longer in it. The image they crafted, the role they assigned you, the script they expected you to follow, it's gone. You erased it with one powerful decision, to leave not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. They'll try to replace you, of course. Try to find a new source of comfort, a new shoulder to lean on, someone else to patch the holes they never fixed themselves. But it won't work. Because your presence wasn't a service, it was a gift. And gifts, once lost, don't reappear, they haunt. And somewhere inside you, you already know this. You're not just a survivor of neglect, you are a force that no longer fits into small spaces. You didn't walk away to make a point. You walked away because staying was too expensive. It was costing you your soul. Now pause for a moment. Think back to the last time you truly felt seen. How long has it been? How often did you show up for others, hoping they'd eventually show up for you? They never expected you to get quiet. That's the part that unnerves them. Because when you argued, when you cried, when you tried to fix it, that was still a version of hope. A signal that maybe, just maybe, there was something left to salvage. But silence? That's when they knew the exit was real. Now they're running circles in their own mind, trying to figure out how you slipped through their grasp. Trying to remember the last thing they said to you that felt like power, not realizing it was the last time they'd ever have any. They thought your silence was the end of the conversation, but it was really the beginning of their reckoning. Let's break something open here. There's a myth they believed, that as long as they stayed just good enough, you'd never leave. That if they gave you crumbs, you'd keep baking them full-course meals in return. They thought they were doing just enough to earn your loyalty without ever offering true presence or reciprocity. But the most dangerous kind of person isn't the loud one. It's the one who learns quietly, observes patiently, and leaves suddenly. You weren't unpredictable. You were just done performing a role that never fit you in the first place. They saw your kindness as currency they could spend. They mistook your forgiveness for foolishness. But you were just hoping they'd catch on before it was too late. And they didn't. Now every moment without you is a reminder of how easy you made the hard things look, of how you softened the sharp edges in their life without ever making them dull, of how you brought color into a world they'd grown used to seeing in gray. They'll say they miss you, but they won't tell the truth, that what they actually miss is the way you made them feel about themselves. The version of them that existed only in your presence, brighter, more capable, more centered. They don't miss you. They miss the elevation your energy provided. And you've moved on from being their emotional scaffolding. You've stepped out of the role of healer, fixer, emotional bodyguard. Because somewhere along the way, you realized something critical. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong people. What a shift that is, isn't it? The realization that the love you were begging for was always supposed to start with you. That the peace you craved didn't come from keeping the peace outside, but from refusing to abandon yourself inside. So now, you're rebuilding, but not from scratch, from experience, with scars that aren't signs of damage, but signs of awakening. You've learned how to protect your energy without apology, how to exist without explaining, how to leave quietly when something no longer grows you. And the beauty of that? You're no longer living to be understood. You're living to be true. You don't need validation in the form of someone's approval. You need alignment with your own soul. There's a power in knowing you don't have to prove your value, that you never did, that simply by being, by showing up with sincerity, consistency, and care, you were already a rare presence. And now that you're no longer giving it away freely, the ones who took it for granted are left starved and spinning. Let them. Let them come to terms with the truth in silence. Let them sit with the absence. Because it's not your responsibility to teach them the value of what they refuse to see. It's your responsibility now to thrive, not just survive, to rise in the fullness of who you are without shrinking to fit their comfort zone, to build a life where your energy is matched, your soul is seen, and your presence is celebrated, not consumed. And if no one's told you this recently, let me say it now from a place of truth. You didn't just walk away. You elevated. You evolved. You escaped the gravity of those who needed you small in order to feel big. There's no return from that kind of awakening, and honestly, that's the point. So carry that with you. The calm, the power, the silence that speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. Let your peace be the protest. Let your growth be the closure. Because the ones who underestimated your silence are about to witness the volume of your comeback. And oh, they never saw this version of you coming. You're not just free, you're finally home. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.